Now we're going to cover powders. Now, with our practice head, powders don't work as well as what paints do. They don't really come out properly because obviously our skin, for some reason, there's maybe a little bit more oil build-up that will adhere to the powder. Maybe that's why it gets on skin a lot better. You can practice on a practice head with powders, but I recommend practicing on your arm and mucking around with the powders on your arm. Okay, so when we're working with powders, we get them in tubs like these. And obviously, we can't repot powders like we do paints into these trays where there are no lids on them. So we unfold our case or our kit, our face painting kit, and the paints are there ready and available for you to use. It's not the same story with the powders. You actually buy them and they come with lids. So I tend to just take all the lids off, put them in the plastic container, the plastic bag in which I keep my stencils in, and that way it's right here, it's ready for me to pack all away. And I only have, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colours that I use mainly. Now, with using powders, we use Smoothie Blenders. So Smoothie Blenders you can purchase at any face painting stores. There's Mehron do a Paradise Smoothie Blender, which are pretty much the same as the ones that Sillyfarm produce. And these ones have been used this morning. So I haven't washed these yet, but it's really good practice to wash them after each gig. So what they are, they're just these smooth, spongy type, velvety sort of palettes that you have. So they're like a wand pretty much. So they're just like a big flat Q-tip pretty much. But they're quite foamy and they pick up powder really well. So that's how we use them. We use them with Smoothie Blenders. And when we go to pick up paint, we I use the Mehron Starblends, and what we do is I grab my Smoothie Blender like this. I have my finger on the back of it. Otherwise, you're going to be bending the Smoothie Blender a bit too much and you don't want to break the tip off. So I like to just use my finger and just work your way, rub the powder into the Smoothie Blender. And once you have enough powder, just put on your skin like this. They are amazing for blending. I find that doing tigers or doing really quick Spider-Mans, sometimes red paint can be a bit too dense to put on a child's face if you're doing a full Spider-Man. So sometimes I prefer to use the powders in that scenario, as there's just less paint on the child's face. You can work on your line work a lot more. So I'll just pick up some orange here. So I'm just rubbing the Smoothie Blender into the powder, and then I'll place some orange on my arm here. So as you can see, I'm working my way through the yellow. So I like to just sort of point it up like that and then get my yellow and then blend it in like that. And then I'll normally just with my fingers just blend it across like that. Once you've got your basis for a design with your powders, then you can go ahead and use your line work on top of it just to complete it, obviously. So say if this is a tiger base, we'll do some tiger stripes. So you can paint over the powders. I find that when you're doing powders as a base, you will need to wet your brush a little bit more because your brush will pick up some powder. The paint will pick up some powder, so you will have some residue of powder on your brush. So they're great for backgrounds. If I'm doing a Spider-Man, they're perfect. They're clean. I'm going to rub some red onto here. And bring some red along there. So easy to put on. You're not stifling and using too much paint here. So it's really good for using on toddlers, as toddlers tend to really make a mess of their face when they touch their face. They don't know what they're doing, obviously. Little darlings, God love them. But they do tend to smudge the paint everywhere with powders. It's harder to make a big mess of your face. So as a child, so say if I'm doing a Spider-Man, I'll just do a spider web here. A very, very basic spider web. You've got that background, you've got all of that red, and I've done that in no time. You can cover a whole face with a Starblend, with a powder in no time. So you're basically starting off with the top of the face and then bringing it down and then covering the middle area. It really doesn't take a lot of time at all. Now with blending colors in, you can also blend in colors by using your sponges. So you can load up your one side of the sponge with one color and then the other part of the sponge with another color. So if I want to blend a light pink up with a dark pink, so I'm just working my sponge through. I'll show you. So I'm just working the sponge through the color, picking up all of that color, and then turning the sponge around to the other tip, to the other end, I am picking up some darker magenta. So there I have two colors. So you can obviously do that with two different types of powders, pink and purple, or pink and lighter purple. But if you're using your face paints, you can just use each side. So I've just used one side, flipping it over to the other side and working the paint in together. So there you go. It doesn't really, you don't need much effort at all to do this. It's quite good. It works really well when putting two colors together and you get a really good effect. Coverage with sponges are a lot denser. So because it's paint, it's absorbed quite well and it's a lot thicker. It puts on nicely. Powders, although when the child's face is dry, it won't stick on as well as, say, the paints. Sometimes in summertime, kids are lathered with sun cream, so the powders stick on a little bit better in those scenarios. Sometimes at the end of powdering, it's good to just spritz their face. Not every child likes their face spritz, so it's good practice to ask them, do you mind if I mist some water on your face? Close your eyes, just pretend you're going under the surf, and just tell them it's only a little bit of water. And some kids don't like that, so that's when you'd use the sponges with paints. It's great to use both. I like to use both methods. I like to use the sponging of the colours when I need a more predominant, vibrant look. If it's just a background, I'll use Starblends, for Spider-Mans, or if I want it to be really quick and I don't really have the time to be working my sponge into the paints to pick up the paints. Because the powders don't need water, you're just basically picking up your smoothie blender and blending the colour in. It's super quick, super easy, and it makes for a great basis So there, you know, you could do a ghost design on a face and give them a white face instead of having to load up all of that white into your sponge. So use both. They're fantastic. I have no dramas with both techniques. They work both equally as well as each other. It just depends on what it is you're wanting to achieve, a more denser look or a more subtle look, or if you have limited time and have time to be picking up all that paint on your sponge. Now, I know glitter is not considered to be a powder, but I'll cover on glitter. So poofers are super, super easy, I believe, in order to get some, you know, sparkle on the child's face quickly and efficiently. It covers the whole face, which is great, and it works well. So how I would poof glitter onto a child's face is I would just spritz their face. So I'll have the spritzer around about that much of a distance, enough so you can get a mist onto their face. So yeah, I'm quite misty there. It's misty on my skin. It's not wet. So keep that distance, and then make sure that the glitter is right down to the nozzle, and then poof. So squeeze the bottle, and that will just come out, and it will look super sparkly and pretty. Kids love it. And this is an iridescent powder, so it's not coloured in any way, but as you can see, it's so pretty. It just adds an extra dimension to your face painting, and it really isn't any effort at all. You can grab your glitter gels and do the same. It's just like gel. You gel it on and spread it across. I personally prefer the poofer. When the paint is wet, you're better off to spritz the area in which it's wet. You don't want to do a full face of glitter. So say if I've just drawn on these spider webs, as the black paint is wet, I'll poof on just that area, and that'll just make the web glittery and nothing else, because the paint is still wet from drawing the spider webs. Unless you want to have a full face glitter. Experiment with your poofer bottles as well. You can always reuse these. They're fantastic. So you can always buy some more loose iridescent glitter, or you can use any type of colour. They all work fantastic on the skin. And I think I wanted to add it in as the powder section because they are powdery and they're special type of powder. They're pretty cool. So thank you for watching. I really hope that you're getting something out of this and you're getting yourself a lot more familiar with what's needed for face painting. In the next class, we're going to cover everything about sponging on stenciling. So there's a variety of stencils that are on the market, and I'll be covering how to apply them efficiently, and having fun with stencils. So stick around and I'll see you for sponges and stencils. Thanks for watching. If you got something out of this, make sure that you give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. If you have any face painting related questions or you need something that you need clarified, make sure you comment down below and I'll do my absolute best to share my knowledge with you in the next video. I'm on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget to follow me so we don't miss each other for the next one. Until next time, happy painting.